did this the wrong way. Did it straight up and down instead of forget my old shirt kind of loose. Did it the wrong way. I have my computer. Let me see here. Chat. Hopefully I did this the right way. It's 6:30 p.m. so 3:30 on the West Coast. And wanted to pop in here. I got my thing the wrong way. I thought I had it sideways when I took my picture. I don't know what I did wrong. But hopefully y'all still could see me decently. Let me fix something real quick. See if I could get this here. Let me see. Hopefully y'all can see me. I'm in my mobile office right now because my boy's at practice. So today, my wife did this last Thursday when I was doing the couples class on Thursday night. So my wife did this, but both of our sons play soccer. So the 7-year-old plays soccer, the 14-year-old plays soccer. Fortunately, they practice at the same time right now tonight, 6 to 7:30. But their fields in 2 different places. So I have to take the 14-year-old to practice first, drop him off about 15 minutes early, then shoot over here, get the 7-year-old to practice. And it's one of them things I seen on the thing what TD Jakes was talking about with the father. He was talking about how if I'm home, then we ain't got money. And if we got money, then I ain't home. And that's what I tried to create, to where I'm able to take my sons to practice, but also still able to serve my purpose. Now, the bad side is I don't get to watch my sons practice because I got to make use of my time doing this. But like Allen Iverson said, we talking about practice. We talking about practice. I'll be there for the game now. I ain't going live during a game, but we talking about practice. And then I also like to stay away from practice because I never want to be one of them. I ain't gonna say that's overbearing, but coaches like to have their room to coach. They like to coach, and so I sit back and let the coach, and I want my sons to have a relationship with their coach, because if I'm there, I'm superior to their coach, so they're gonna be looking at me for approval versus listening to what they coach want from them. So I try to also stay out the way. But I wanted to pop on here because somehow it hit my feed. A young lady was doing a reaction to a video. It looked like her whole channel is reactions to videos, and I'm thinking it's several of these women out here with these reaction channels to videos of the toxic male podcast checking women. And I wanted to come on as a man and listen. I get it. You know, I get it holding women accountable. I get it holding women accountable. I get it calling women out on nonsense and foolishness. But I really feel like I honestly feel like that's some Pick Misha activity. I honestly feel like that's some Pick Misha activity. Y'all ladies out here, if y'all see these men who more often than not is toxic when it comes to their talking and their dealings and their viewpoints of women, it's not really smart for women to jump on the bandwagon and further pile onto the demeanory, we're gonna make that a word, of women. Because at the same time, as a man, what I realize is I see what's real. Like a lot of times these guys, they talking and they talking about, oh, they get mad when a woman say, oh, I want to be treated fairly, or they get mad when a woman say, I got this standard, that standard, that standard. But as men, we really know what's going on in reality. And in reality, men are beating on women. In reality, men are cheating on women. In reality, men are, and when I say men, I mean the large majority of men are running a woman through her trauma, reminding her of her trauma. That's why this happened to you. That's why your daddy did this. That's why your ex did this. Like, that's a tactic that we use as men on average. And so I just don't see the point in belittling women when women had. Now, I keep it real with a woman now, and I tell the truth. Like on my Talks with Tony series, women write in and they sounding kind of like they're trying to twist stuff and manipulate the situation. I keep it real, but keep it real respectfully and keep it real in love. But then also what I always tell y'all is, when you see me telling the truth about something, don't pile onto it. Don't pile onto it. Don't talk about that person directly. And I see this a lot. You know, I see this a lot. And what I don't want to see, y'all, let me cut off my radio up here because this thing think I be talking to it.
Please repeat.
And what I don't like to see, and this the thing, like, I was talking to a publisher today, and the publisher said, well, Tony, I let a man read a little snippet of the book, and she said that he said he couldn't relate to when you said a lot of men behave like wild beasts. And she said that he felt like it wasn't for him. The book wasn't for him. I say, a man who work at a publishing house, that's not who I'm talking to. Because to work in literary for a top publisher in the world, your path was different as a man. I said, that ain't the men I'm trying to reach. Because I said, by the age of 21, I had slept with over 100 women. My friend had slept with 300. I had another friend who said 600. I talked to guys and slept with 8 women in one day, in a 24-hour period. Another guy said 10 women. And so it's real out here what men are doing. It's guys that look like the bottom of a shoe that say they done slept with 3 women in a day. And it has happened. And so when we really get down to the real of it, I don't think that we need to be in a place to where we bring in reckoning and we laying the law to women. I just honestly don't think that. And what I want y'all women to stop doing is y'all stop beating up on each other. Stop piggybacking. Because one of the biggest things that I see is mother versus daughter. It's so much mama versus daughter hate in the world that I talk to so many women and they don't get along with their mama. And it's like, y'all the same thing. Why y'all don't get along? And it's so, and I see it's a thing for women to beat up on women. And then I hear women always say, oh, I really don't have female friends. I got male friends. And that should not be. And I guess because women know women, and maybe it's, I don't know, whatever it is, cattiness or whatever. But more so than ever, women losing. Women really losing. And it's sad, and I hate to say it. And the men in the dark, they kind of saying the same thing in their own way, but it's sad. It's not a lot of good men. It ain't a whole plethora of good men just walking around. Now, when you think of 7 billion people, and you say, okay, 10% of men is good, if that's 3.5 billion men, and then it's half of the population, which it probably ain't that. Let's say if it's 3 billion men or 2 billion men, if 1% of 2 billion, yeah, in the grand scheme of the whole world, you can find good men. But good men ain't just jumping out the woodworks. Good men ain't growing on trees like real men. It ain't just happening like that. It ain't happening like that. And it's not gonna help y'all women to be teaming up. It's not gonna help if women teaming up against each other. and y'all bashing each other, and y'all belittling each other, and then you taking and supporting and promoting the message of men who are belittling and demeaning women, who know how to corner a woman and make a woman and silence a woman and make her sound stupid, make her sound dumb, not realizing that that's what we do as men every day in the home to these women. So if we watching men disregard the feelings and the desires and the heart of women, and then we make a mockery of it, and we belittle those women, we dog those women out, you have to realize that as men, and I'm gonna tell you, men who come from two-parent homes beat on women. Men who are in the church of a religion, of all religions, beat on women. Men who white, black, Hispanic, beat on women. It don't matter. It ain't just a race thing or an age thing. It's a male thing that men more often than not become verbally and or emotionally and or physically abusive to women. So what y'all not understanding is that when y'all take and y'all make these reaction videos to these men in the dark and these men with these raggedy podcasts that's belittling women and making a mockery of women, because here it is, you got a woman. If you take somebody who is not a professional speaker, so like these women that's getting put on these podcasts, these women are not professional speakers. These women not used to the lights. These women ain't used to having a public debate about their preferences or their standards or their desires. And then they going up against men. You wonder why these men ain't calling me. These men not calling me. They calling everybody in the world to be on their podcast. They ain't calling me. Cause they know to bring somebody that gonna crack under the pressure. They know to bring somebody that's gonna fold under the lights. I remember years ago, brother brought me on his podcast. He the complete opposite of me. Years ago, the brother flew me out to his city, put me on his podcast, and I didn't watch the interview that he did with me, but people was writing me and messaging me, hey, such and such is deleting every comment that's in support of you and what you saying. And when I tell you, when I sat with that brother and he called women bees, he called black women bees, I don't like to say names because I ain't all the way healed, in the sense of I kill by my name, I fight by my name, so I don't like to say other people's name. Because somebody got my name in their mouth, I just don't know how I'm going to feel that day. And so I try to do the same respect. And so that's why I always say, don't say names in the chat. If I don't say nobody's name, don't you say their name. If I'm talking to them and they know I'm talking to them, then I'm talking to them. Because I know they checking for me. I know they watching my videos. So who I'm talking to gonna know I'm talking to them. I don't have to say names to get clout or to build off nobody's name, or that's why I don't put nobody's name in my comments. I mean, on my titles, I don't say nobody's name, because where I'm from, you'll die by the name. And I'm not really with the internet games and all of that right there. Keep back and forth over the internet. So I say, speak your truth. I speak my truth. We speak truth, but you ain't got to say names, because a hit dog gonna holler. And if the shoe fit, you gonna wear it. But this is the thing. The gentleman, I remember he brought me on his podcast, and we were talking, and he was saying a little crazy stuff. And I didn't feel flustered. I didn't sweat. I didn't panic. Like, it was just so easy for me, the conversation, because I know what I believe and I know what I stand on makes sense. And I got the results. So the men with these podcasts, they all single. And I'm going to tell you, as a man, it's extremely, 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 extremely hard for a man to be unmarried and happy. It's men not built like a woman. Men are not built like women. Women are used to being left by men. Women are used to losing their sons and their brothers and their husbands to the prison system, to the streets, to war, or to another woman. Women used to that. Men not used to being alone. Men ain't used to that. Eve was created solely to be a helpmeet to Adam. Men ain't used to being alone. So I know unmarried men deep down, I don't really believe there's such thing as an unmarried man who is 100% completely happy. He on his way. He might be working on it. He might be in self-love, but he still got a hole in his life that it might not be time to fill it. But if he got some sense and if he got a real man inside of him, he want a wife. Man who don't want a wife, I can't really trust a man who don't want a wife. I honestly can't trust a man who don't want a wife. I honestly cannot. I really don't want to partner with a man, do business with a man who don't want a wife. Now, I do men who is unmarried, but I need to know that they working on themselves and they working towards meeting the right one. And I got mentees who are unmarried, but they working on themselves. They love themselves. They living right. They doing the right thing, but they desire marriage. They just ain't met the woman yet. And a lot of times it's delusion. For the most part, a lot of times it's delusion. Men who want a wife and don't have a wife, a lot of times it's delusion because we want more than what we worth. We want more than what we desire. Like I'm gonna give you an example as a man. My wife don't have and I'm not talking bad about my wife, but I'm giving you a real life example. My wife got cellulite. My wife don't have a flat stomach. My wife don't have ripped and chiseled arms. You know, my wife don't have no high sex drive. But in this day and age, men who in my position, meaning they don't look like the bottom of a shoe. I ain't saying they handsome or whatever. A man ain't got to look all that to get no woman. But in this day and age, a man who makes 7 figures, who got time freedom, got financial freedom, run his own businesses, and look halfway decent, will feel like he need a woman that got a perfect body, that got now about a 6-pack of abs, if not a complete flat stomach, that got no cellulite to be seen, that ain't got now corn on a toe, ain't got nothing wrong with her. And that's why a lot of quote unquote good men be single, because they be delusional, because they don't understand that a woman is a human being. She gonna have flaws. Her body ain't gonna be perfect in the sense of it's perfect if you like it, if you say it's perfect, but it ain't gonna be perfect based on societal standards. And so that's why a lot of men single, because they looking at a celebrity that they only see with filters, that they only see with a $2,000 makeup artist just got off their face, that they see with $30,000 a month worth of maintenance, and they want a everyday version of that woman, and that don't exist. And that's why a lot of quote unquote good men be single, because they want a fairy tale, just like a lot of quote unquote good women want a fairy tale. It's like singles, a lot of singles today, I'm not gonna say most, but a lot of singles today, what I realize, a lot of singles today are praying to God, if they pray. Now, a lot of them don't pray now. Like these men in the dark, they don't believe in God, not no real God. But people want somebody that God ain't created and is not gonna create, because the point of being human is being flawed. Like, we all gonna be flawed. And that's what's keeping a lot of people single, is wanting something that God ain't created and is not getting ready to create, and having an overinflated sense of self and thinking that we worth more than what we are. We thinking that everybody thinking they the prize. The men thinking they the prize, the women thinking they the prize, and nobody operating in humility. It's not to say that you don't have self-love, that you shouldn't have self-love. It's not to say that you shouldn't think good about yourself, but it's to say you got to be realistic. You got to understand that every preference ain't gonna be met. That your standards, the foundation, or what you upon which you build your life should be met. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And so now we get in this thing to where it's men versus women, women versus men. And then you got this, I gotta keep it on time. My son get done in 35 minutes, so I ain't gonna be on here too long. Gotta get off here about 30 minutes. And so then we see this, and it's men versus women and women versus men. And then now some women talking about they on an exodus. They leaving their race. They going to other races. But doing it from a place of hurt. Not, you got to realize Exodus, the book of Exodus, is because people were slaves. And they had to be delivered out of captivity, out of slavery. So when you do that, you angry. You upset with the oppressor. You ain't doing that. It ain't just peaches and cream and self-love now. So a lot of the people that talking about they on their exodus, now they coming from a place of hate. They coming from a place of anger. So now they belittle an entire race. They belittle an entire race of men or an entire race of women, and men having an exodus and women having an exodus too now. So it's kind of like a situation. This ain't no Q&A to Neil. And so it's a situation where we at odds. We at odds and we can't come together. And the reason being is because men trying to check women and women trying to check men. When it should be men checking men and women checking women. And then men sharing the game with women and women sharing the game with men. Creating a bridge, creating a dialogue, a healthy dialogue across the sexes, not a bashing session or belittling session. And that's what we have on all these podcasts. And that's what me and my mentee getting ready to start us a podcast. And we see stuff totally different too, in the sense of we on the same path, but it's still gonna be difference of opinion. He not my mini-me or anything like that. He still see things differently. And it just come with time to where I understand with these men in the podcast, these men out here in the dark, I understand that controlling a woman and dominating a woman, having an upper hand on a woman, don't make me masculine. I understand that. I feel like a lot of men today feel like that if they don't dictate the situation with a woman in every aspect, that they are a beta male and that they're being feminine. And not understanding that real strength is gentleness. That's why the same man that'll blow your brains out will also buy bicycles for every kid in the hood, do a turkey giveaway, because the real strength is in gentleness. But today, the men who calling themselves alpha men is really beta men, because they feel like in order to be an alpha male, you got to manipulate women. You got to control women. You got to dictate and dominate women. You got to use women like spoils of war. Like you got to use women to take out your lust and your pain and your trauma and your insecurity. And that's why you'll notice that a lot of these men leading the movement, all of them have a funny look about themselves. A look that Hollywood has not celebrated, a look that the world has not promoted, so they done felt alienated and ostracized. And now they want revenge on the women, because it's like, whoa, you ain't like my nose. A lot of these men with these podcasts, if you're gonna notice, most of them got a nose on them. Most of them is Nostradamus. And I'm not picking on them. But what I'm saying is the world treats you based on how Hollywood say you look. And we have a choice. We got to decide how we gonna respond. So me being 5'10", to be a model, a male model, you gotta be 5'11". So at 5'10", I'm under the cut. But then a man might be 5'11", 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". But if he got a set of nostrils on him and Hollywood don't praise them nostrils, he got overlooked. And now the nose might look okay as an adult male, but he had that same size nose at 12, at 13, at 14. And then that's when these guys was getting overlooked. When you look at these men from these podcasts, the only women that's saying these men is handsome is women who are into hypergamy. That they think a man look better if he make money or appears to make money. But it ain't no women that's looking at these toxic men with these podcasts and saying and falling out or just saying, whoa, he is handsome. I never once heard a woman say that who being honest. And so what y'all have to realize about these men with these podcasts is looking like that has made them insecure. And it could be one thing. It could be a nose. It could be the complexion. Like on the one podcast I seen, one of the guys, he light skinned, but he losing all his hair. And the camera angle always looking down at his head and it just shining. That's gonna create insecurity. And he Nostradamus. So that's gonna create insecurity. And then he light skinned. When you're a light skinned man, you get picked on growing up. You get picked on. I hate to say it, you get bullied. When you're a light skinned man, you get bullied. So light skin, frail, skinny, ain't got a muscle, can't buy a muscle, can't find a muscle. That's a life of pain. That is a life of pain. Had to fight all their life. And then the other guy on the podcast, America make people his skin color hate their complexion. I guarantee you. And when you growing up and anybody on here who dark complected can also tell you they struggles. So light skinned people gonna have their struggles, and then dark skinned people gonna have their struggles. Any melanin you got, or lack of, you gonna have some struggles. And then I noticed the other guy dark skinned and got a nose on him. That's painful because people gonna overlook you. They're gonna treat you like you're less than because of what Hollywood portraying. And I'm gonna tell you like this right here. I'm gonna tell you, man. And so that's what's happening. These guys growing up and they becoming grown men and they like, hey, I want revenge. Y'all such and such didn't want me. Y'all ain't want me. Forget you. Y'all women is not special. Y'all women is not princesses. Y'all women need to wake up. And then I seen the other man, the man in the dark. I said, oh, seen some old pictures. And then if you got glasses and them glasses is sitting on that nose and that nose still got some size on it, as a man, you're gonna go through. You're gonna go through. And then when you a man and you know how to argue like a woman, you're gonna go through. What they used to call people who wear glasses. They used to make them people feel bad. Oh, you got 4 eyes. I never bullied nobody. I took up for people. I was there for people. I remember we had a young white man, a young white boy at my elementary school, and he was very poor. I had a homeboy used to punch him in the eye every day for no reason. I'm like, man, why you keep punching that man in the eye? So I about had to fight my homeboy. Like, man, stop picking on that man. I never bullied nobody. But and I'm not picking on people right now. I'm just telling the truth of the matter of how this is why you got to look at the root. A lot of people just listening to people talk. And so these men, they'll get them some money. They'll get them a nice little setup. They'll get them a nice outfit. And then women can't see, and some men can't see their insecurities. Listen, there's nothing masculine about a man publicly humiliating women. There's nothing masculine about that. There's nothing alpha male about that. It's like God ain't called us as men to hold court on women. Men need to check men. Women need to check women. But see, today we got a bunch of men checking women and ain't saying nothing to no man. Not no real man, not no man that was the alpha when they were growing up. They ain't talking to them kind of men. Now they talking to the little young boys who still in college or just got out of college, ain't got no bread behind their name. They talking to them kind of young men because they feel like they could pee on their forehead because they got money and power and status and position, and them young men ain't got no money yet. So they thinking, oh, because I got money, I can talk down to this young man because he ain't got no money. But they ain't talking to no man who is tall, athletic build, and had a bunch of women. They not gonna tell the truth. They ain't gonna call out Future about his recklessness with women. They ain't gonna call that out. They gonna pacify that. They gonna pacify that. They not gonna tell Future, listen, man, you carrying yourself like an immature grown boy, and you really need to get your life together, and you really need to stop impregnating women, and you really need to settle down. They not gonna say that to Future. They gonna pacify Future. They gonna pacify Future and Lil Wayne and those type of men who could get a lot of women, and Chris Brown and not married. They gonna pacify that type of man, but then gonna belittle and demean women. What kind of sense do that? What is masculine about pacifying and condoning the behavior of men who have money, who could have any woman but won't choose now, but then take a woman and grab her by a ponytail and pull her through the rocks, pull her through asphalt, and then to have other men and women taking their videos and clipping it together and doing reactions, further humiliating the women. One of them got rejected by multiple women on the video, even right next to his rented Lamborghini. Miranda wasn't attracted to him, even though he paid her. I don't know who Miranda is, but I don't know who you talking about either, but you probably talking about. See, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really can't tolerate ignorance and foolishness and buffoonery. So when I'm talking about these men, I'll be honest with you, I really don't spend more than 3 minutes watching they stuff, and I already could tell in 3 minutes how ignorant it is, and I just can't tolerate it too much more. But so I be doing these videos and I be talking about this stuff, and I literally watch 3 to 5 minutes and I hear what they saying. But the thing about it is, we fighting the wrong fight. As men, we need to be checking men. We need to be telling men, hey, step up. And then for women, need to be giving the game, say, hey, this is what you need to look out for. That's what a real alpha male gonna do. A real alpha male gonna check another man and protect women, not pacify grown men and condone and sit silent when grown men dogging out women, and then want to hold a woman accountable and want to drag a woman through the mud, but then want to sit in front of a womanizer and ain't got nothing constructive to say about, hey, get your life together. And you know why? They can't say nothing because they ain't got their life together, because they not married. They ain't settled down with no woman. They ain't learned how to love no woman. They haven't healed from their childhood trauma. And that's the thing, man. We just doing wrong. Hey, Benjamin, God bless you now. Linda Brown. Now, Brother Ben been on here. He been on here for a while. God bless you now. And Linda Brown, God bless you. And so, bless you now, bless you. You ain't have to do that. And that's the thing. Is we got to get to a place to where we really is, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I hear some of the stuff some of you guys saying in the little snippets y'all be sending me. And I said, okay, that makes sense. All right, he told the truth. He told the truth right there, but misplacing energy. Tell a man that's a womanizer the truth. I sat with a guy today. And he said to me, he said, when these guys talk about they want to have multiple women or they want to do threesomes and foursomes, he said, I asked them, how is that healthy? Tell me, how is that healthy? Tell me, how does that benefit you in a healthy way? Dominating a woman, controlling a woman, sleeping with multiple women. How is that healthy? I say, you know what, man? I never asked that question. I said, I'm glad you shared that with me. I'm gonna start asking these guys that's trying to defend this ignorance. How is that healthy? How does that make your daughter feel when you going off on women, but you quiet with the men that used to bully you in middle school? The men that used to punch you in the nose, the men that used to steal your lunch money. You quiet with those men. Sit right down with those men and won't share a lick of truth. But get a woman in front of you, oh, you the big bad wolf. Oh, you finna read her the filth. You finna read a woman the filth. But get a man in front of you that look like the man, that look like the adult version of the man that used to take your lunch money. Got time for me to go. That ain't manhood. One thing about a man gonna check a man. A man gonna hold a man accountable, and not just a man he don't like. A man that he like, a man that he cool with. A man gonna check a man. And that's what I'm gonna tell you now. And Lisa Bolton, God bless you now. God bless you. You ain't have to do that. And that's what I'm gonna tell you. And so the men around me, the men, and I'm gonna tell you, I got guys I grew up with that I'll bring them to my suite at the NFL stadium. The stadium called it a luxury suite. I don't know if them things luxury now, but you got your own little suite, and you got to pay for it now. It costs. And I have guys that I bring up there like ministry, and I'm around them. And I got a homeboy. He not married. He smoke weed every day. He done had a whole bunch of women, and he know how I live my life. I don't change my life for him. I don't act like I'm a womanizer for him. I don't do nothing different. I don't curse. So I don't start cursing around guys just because they smoke weed or they tough or they fight. Or I have guys around me that I still know from home that I'm trying to reach and trying to be an example to, that move cross state lines all around the country, got a network affiliated in illegal activity that I'm trying to reach. I be around all kind of men trying to reach them. I don't change me though. They know I'm faithful to my wife. They know I don't curse. They know I don't get drunk. They know I don't smoke. They know I don't watch pornography. They know I don't masturbate. They know I don't gamble. They know how I live, and I don't change me to try to fit in with no other man, because I understand what's productive. I understand what's healthy. I understand what's going to produce real results in your life. So I'm not fixing to live a life that is not advantageous to my peace and prosperity, because I understand the end result of giving into that pleasure. And I try to help other men understand that. But see, today what we got is, why do you podcasts don't sit down with men and talk about what men need to do to grow to build a family, to cultivate the minds, the self-esteem, and the self-worth of our sons and our daughters. You notice the men ain't having that conversation on these podcasts. They sitting around a bunch of women who just want love. And you will hear the women that been brainwashed. I seen a snippet on one of these podcasts. The women was on their brainwash. Well, I don't, if my man want to have a threesome, I'm with it. And if my man want to sleep with other women, I'm with it. I'm not going to try to hold him from doing that. I say, what kind of laboratory y'all done got these women out of? This don't make no sense. But the thing about it is with YouTube and all of that, man, teenagers watching this stuff. Teenagers watching this stuff. 13-year-old boys watching this stuff. And they got to look up to these ignorant men as examples. And the thing about it is, what I'm seeing these men do today, all I'm seeing men do is belittle women and just attack each other, but not confronting each other to be better men. It's just confronting each other about giving each other credit for who said what quote. And it be just nonsense. And it's like, as men, we need to be talking to each other to get better. Like, what are we doing as men that's benefiting our household beyond paying bills? What are we doing as men that is encouraging and inspiring our daughters? What are we doing as men that is encouraging and inspiring our sons and the next generation? If you don't have kids, can what we do online as men, can we sit down with our daughters and watch that, and our daughter feel good, our daughter feel empowered? What we do as men online, can we sit down with our sons and they feel enlightened and empowered? That ain't what it's about. Men out here for clout and trying to get the approval and the recognition of other men. And that's the thing, is like, it ain't gonna be a lot of men that don't care about what another man think about them. It ain't gonna be a lot of men like that. A lot of times as men, we seeking the approval. That's why we join gangs. That's why we join sports teams. We seeking the approval of other men. And today, that's why so many men belittling women, because seeking the approval of the man who is dominating the women behind closed doors. But me coming from that, me being a grown boy, me having been one of those terrible men, I understand the dangers of the messaging. See, I was a terrible boyfriend in college without YouTube. There was no YouTube. There was no podcast when I was in college, and I was horrible. So I understand, if I could be horrible with the only influence back then was music, then what in the world these boys finna be today? They finna be terrible. Miss A, God bless you now. So listen, we got to get it together. And I'm gonna tell y'all something before I get ready to go. Ladies, y'all stop teaming up against each other. As if women want to elevate, if women want to rise, you got to be a unified front. Because I'm gonna tell you, women honestly could beat these men that's on these podcasts. It honestly women that'll whoop these men. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I'm talking about could whoop them physically, let alone mentally, spiritually, emotionally. But the sad part, and the reason why I do the work I do, trying to give women the game, is because I understand the advantage that men have. So I had the advantage being a star athlete and being a drug dealer. Being all those things, it was that women would praise. Oh, you got an 8-pack of abs, you got a nice chest, you got a nice arm, and you move and work, across state lines. So I was a grown boy, but women praised that because women was looking for security. Women want who appeared tough, but really we were soft. We were scared. But we did the things that made it look like we was tough. So when I'm trafficking across state lines, I had a girlfriend, as long as I came home with that bankroll, she wasn't telling me, no, stop moving weight, stop trafficking, stop selling drugs. I never said that. It was my wife who made me get out the streets because she a real woman. My wife told me I'd rather be broke, and that's exactly what we was until I found my purpose. We was on food stamps. We was on WIC. We ain't had no furniture in our apartment. Our apartment was 2-bedroom, $800 a month. Our son was paying $700 a month of the rent from his SSI check. We were broke. My wife wouldn't let me hustle. She told me, get out the streets, a real woman. And so back then, women, and even now today, women taking and shrinking in front of these weak men. And women is letting weak men who can't get right. When I say can't get right, I don't mean in the literal sense, but I mean men who do not have a wife, who do not have a woman that you could do a glow check on, that you could check her glow to see if this man know anything about pleasing a woman. If a man knows something about pleasing a woman, he gonna have a woman that you could do a glow check on, because women know women now. Women know women now. So when you go to my wife's Instagram, Cherie Gaskins, you could do a glow check on her. She ain't no actor. She don't even post a lot. She probably, I think on her main page, she ain't posted since November or something I seen the other day. But she posting her stories every day when she's showing our sons and stuff. She ain't no actor. I get on the nerves because just sometimes how my brain be working. I get on my wife's nerves. But she's still glowing. She's still blessed and highly favored and taken care of and extremely loved, even with my flaws. But see, women taking the advice of men who have not shown them that they can love a woman, that they could please a woman. How you as a woman gonna listen to men who can't please no woman and then want the men to tell you how to be a better woman or how to think as a woman? You know how these men telling these women how to think and why to think? Is because the men is more feminine than the women they talking to. You see what I'm saying? I can't tell no woman how to be a woman. I tell a woman what to look out for with men, because I know I played the game at the highest and worst level. So the way I did women would be like, I understand the game, so I could tell a woman, look, this is what you look out for, this is what you look out for, and I'm gonna tell you the sole purpose of that. Men's, oh, you breaking the man code, you breaking the man law. The reason why I'm doing this is because men got their foot on the neck of women. And what that's turning into is broken homes. And what that's turning into is broken children. And then what that's turning into is gang violence, teenage pregnancy, high STD rates, because men not being men. Men want to seek domination over a woman when you need to be dominating your hygiene. You need to be dominating your career. You need to be dominating yourself with self-discipline instead of trying to dominate a woman. And that's where we going wrong at as men. We trying to dominate women instead of trying to dominate ourselves, trying to control ourselves. We trying to tell women, this how you need to be to get a high value man. You need to accept the man cheating on you. What? So you want your daughter to let a man put dirty dang-a-lang in her because he make good money? Because if a man will put dirty dangalang in a woman, guess what he also will do to that woman? Spit in her face. Guess what he also will do to that woman? Punch her. Guess what he also will do to that woman? Talk to her like she a piece of trash. If a man will stick a dirty dangalang in his woman. So these men, obviously, they don't never expect to have no kids. To be telling women, oh, you ought to be sleeping with a man if he take you on a date after 5 p.m. Oh, you ought to be sleeping with a man if you already got a child. Oh, you can't be abstinent if you ain't no virgin. So it's like, this what I tell men. When you give a woman some advice, pretend you talking to your daughter. And now, if that's the advice that these men will get a daughter, they need to be hung. They need to have one toenail plucked off with a pair of pliers, one at a time. They need to have one hair picked out one at a time across their whole body. And toenails one at a time with a pair of pliers. Fingernails one at a time with a pair of pliers. If these men will say what they saying to these women, if they'll say that to their daughter, if they will give their daughter that kind of advice. And I'm going to tell y'all men, every man who coming by here, who grazing by here, watching this here video, talk to women the way you want a man to talk to your daughter. Give women the advice you will give your daughter. And if I'm telling the man in the dark with the thing spinning on his desk, if that man will talk to get that advice to his daughter, ain't fit to be a man. A man who will get that advice to it ain't fit to be a man. Ain't fit to be a husband. Ain't fit to be, and probably why he ain't no husband. Ain't fit to be no father. Ain't fit to be nothing but muzzled. And today these men need a muzzle on their mouth. The ignorance I'm hearing. I'm like, where is the state of manhood? Where has manhood gone? I was talking to the publisher today. I got a book that I'm working on. But I told the publisher, I said, you know what? Based on what your co-worker said, I said, I don't know if I want to go with no publisher. I think I might have to go independent because I don't know if I want to be silenced. I don't know if I want to have to deal with this PC culture. I need to be able to tell men like it is. I need to be able to put the truth in there so when a man could go to read his book secretly at the job on his lunch break and then hide the book under the seat because he don't want his woman to see he read my book. I need him to feel it in his chest. I needed to feel like he getting checked so that he realized, whoa, I got to wake up. And listen, we got to start pacifying each other as men. And we got to think about the greater good. What's the greater good for your lineage? What's the greater good for your household? What's the greater good for your culture, for your race, for your whatever, your city, whatever what is the greater good? Is the greater good dealing with multiple women? Like, where is that going to be healthy at? Like, where that's going to bless us at? Where that's going to change our life for the better? Like, how is that going to sustain us long term? Like, what's the message going to send? Samantha, God bless you now. God bless you. God bless you. And that's what we got to think about. So, hey, y'all, I just wanted to pop on here real quick. I got to get on out of here and get my son. I'm going to see what they get to going. Now, my son's 7 years old, but what the coach do is when they get about done, he make them do abs. Them kids got to do ab workouts at the end of their hour-and-a-half training. And then got to come back tomorrow for a skill session. Look like they about to lay down and do their abs right now. They do flutter kicks and all that right there. 6 inches off the ground. And so listen to me. As men, we got to get this thing together. And I'm going to tell y'all. Now, I know y'all be watching this ignorance, this foolishness on these podcasts for entertainment. But you got to start giving that stuff your views. You got to start giving that stuff your views because I'm going to tell you, it ain't going to entertain you. It's going to change you. You're going to start to believe it. And I seen a young lady doing a review of The Man in the Dark on his two stepsons, his minions podcast. So now these men seeing these other older men like a godfather, because they like, if these older men in their 40s and 50s and think like this, it must be right. No, you could be an old fool. You could be gray hair and dumb and still a boy. You could be 55, 60 years old and still a boy. And you could be 18 and a man. And so now the older men who is ignorant and spewing ignorance to women only, telling women what they need to sacrifice, what they need to give up, and what they need to put up with from men, but ain't telling a man about loving one woman and getting married, and they can't tell them that because they not married. And then got the younger men looking up to them, and then these men collaborating to bash women. And then got women on YouTube doing reaction videos further bashing the women. So now women, you're not a unified front. You're going to get devoured. And the same women that is promoting and stamping and agreeing with these men that is telling women to settle and to put up with all this nonsense, watch what your man do to you. Your man is fixing to beat the brakes off of you. I'm telling you now. And when you look up, God forbid, but if you look up and you seeing stars, remember what I told you. If you don't want that to happen, you need to change your life right now. And you need to stop listening to these weak men who got childhood trauma, who got all this hurt, all this pain, tell a woman what she need to put up with, or you're going to suffer in your relationship. Because when a man know you listen to these idiots, he's going to annihilate you. Because he knows you have no defense, you have no protection, you have no standards, you have no self-respect, and you do not know your queenship and who you are. I got to go. Got my son coming on. Hey, God bless y'all. We'll talk soon.